Hello there. I'm so glad you found your way here, to this quiet corner of the evening, where the world grows softer with every breath you take. Wherever you are right now, whether nestled beneath a heavy blanket, sinking slowly into the curve of a familiar pillow, or simply resting in the gentle hush of a dimly lit room, allow yourself to arrive here fully. There is nothing left to do tonight. Nothing left to chase. Nothing left to carry. The day, with all its small wonders and quiet waits, is finished now, folding itself away like an old letter slipped back into its envelope. Let your shoulders soften. Let your jaw release. Let the muscles around your eyes grow still and warm, as though touched by the last light of a setting sun. Breathe in slowly, gently, and as you breathe out, imagine a soft silver mist drifting from your lips, curling outward into the cool mountain air. Tonight, we are traveling together to a place of immense, ancient stillness to the great Alps, that vast, slumbering range of stone and snow that has stood patiently for millions of years, watching the world turn beneath quiet starlight. We will wander through hidden valleys, listen to glaciers whisper, and rest beside lakes so still they hold the moon like a sleeping child. If this gentle journey brings you comfort, you are warmly invited to leave a quiet like and to softly subscribe so we may meet again on other peaceful nights such as this. No pressure, no rush, only an open invitation, like a candle left glowing in a window. Now, close your eyes if you have not already, and let your breathing fall into a slow, steady rhythm, like the soft footsteps of someone walking through fresh, deep snow. The mountains are waiting. The night is patient. So let's begin this slow and soothing journey. And so we drift gently away from the ordinary world, leaving behind the hum of streets, the chime of clocks, the small flickering lights of distant windows. Imagine yourself rising softly, weightless as a feather lifted on a winter breeze, carried upward through layers of velvet darkness, toward a place where the air grows thinner, cleaner, sweeter on the tongue. Below you, the land begins to fold and rise, gathering itself into great sleeping shapes of stone, draped in soft white silence. The Alps stretch beneath you now, vast and serene, their ancient peaks brushed with moonlight, their valleys cradled in mist. There is no need to move, no need to think. Simply listen, and let each gentle truth that follows settle upon you like a snowflake landing on still water, dissolving slowly, sweetly into the quiet pools of your drifting, restful mind. The Alps stretch across 8 countries, a long, slow ribbon of stone that drapes itself gently across the heart of Europe, from France in the west to Slovenia in the east. This great sleeping range curves through Monaco, Italy, Switzerland, Liechtenstein, Austria, and Germany, like the soft spine of some immense and gentle creature resting beneath a quilt of cloud. Imagine, if you will, looking down from far above, where the mountains appear as a long silver wave, frozen in the act of breathing. Their peaks rise and fall in slow, dreamlike rhythm, touching nations as a lullaby touches sleeping children. Borders blur up here, dissolving in the soft light of dawn, for the mountains do not know the names humans give to land. They only know wind and snow, and the patient turning of the stars above their ancient snow-crowned heads. The Alps are unimaginably old, born some 30 million years ago, when 2 great pieces of the earth pressed slowly, tenderly together. The African plate drifted northward like a wandering ship, meeting the Eurasian shore, and where they touched, the land lifted itself in silence, rising and rising over countless millions of mornings. There was no hurry in this making, no storm, no sudden birth. Only the long, soft breath of the planet, exhaling stone toward the sky. Imagine a slow swelling beneath a vast, quiet sea, the seabed gathering itself like a sleeper turning beneath warm blankets. Layer by layer, the mountains grew, lifting fossils of ancient ocean creatures high into the cold mountain air, where they rest still today, sleeping in stone, dreaming of the waves that once cradled them softly, long, long before the first human eye ever beheld them. Mont Blanc stands as the highest of all the alpine peaks, rising gently to 4,809 meters above the distant sea. Its name means simply, beautifully, the White Mountain, for it wears a soft crown of snow that never melts, glowing pale and luminous beneath the moon. Imagine its slopes draped in endless silken whiteness, smooth and silent as the inside of a seashell. Climbers speak of standing upon its summit as though resting at the very ceiling of Europe, where the air grows thin and sweet, and the curve of the earth becomes visible in the soft blue distance. By night, Mont Blanc gleams like a sleeping pearl, lit by stars and patient moonlight. It does not stir, it does not speak. It simply waits, ancient and serene, as the slow centuries drift around its shoulders like passing mist. Beneath the great peaks of the Alps lie glaciers, those slow, dreaming rivers of ice that have flowed for thousands upon thousands of years. They move so gently that no eye can see them moving, perhaps a few quiet centimeters each day, a drowsy crawl through valleys of stone. Imagine a vast frozen wave, paused mid-curl, glowing with soft inner light, blue as a forgotten morning sky. Within their depths, tiny bubbles hold air from ancient ages, breaths taken by the world long before any human walked upon it. To touch a glacier is to touch slow time itself. To lay a hand upon a memory of cold so old it has forgotten its own beginning. They rest, these glaciers, beneath the moonlight, glowing softly, as if dreaming patient, crystalline dreams of mountains and sky. The Alpes Glacier, the longest in all the Alps, stretches more than 20 kilometers through a hidden valley in Switzerland. From above it looks like a great pale ribbon laid tenderly between dark shoulders of stone, winding and turning with the quiet grace of a sleeping serpent. Its surface is etched with soft, curving lines, the slow brushstrokes of time, where ice has folded and folded again beneath its own patient weight. To walk beside it is to hear the smallest sounds imaginable, the faint sigh of crystals shifting, the soft drip of melt becoming stream. Beneath the moon, Alpes glows with a gentle, otherworldly hush, neither white nor blue, but something softer, something dreamlike. It moves a few centimeters a day, slow as a sleeper turning, a vast frozen lullaby unfolding across centuries beneath the watchful silver eyes of countless silent, patient stars. Within the Alps, more than 1,000 lakes lie scattered like spilled mirrors, each one cradled gently between mountain shoulders. Some are vast, like Lake Geneva or Lake Como, broad enough to hold the reflection of whole towns and orchards. Others are small and secret, no larger than a quiet pond, tucked into hollows where only deer and drifting clouds may find them. By day, they glow turquoise and emerald, fed by the slow melt of glaciers high above. By night, they grow black and luminous, holding the moon and stars upon their still, silken surfaces. Imagine resting beside such a lake in the quiet hours, watching its perfect calm, listening as a single drop of water sends a circle outward, slow and dreamlike, ringing the silence in soft, fading echoes that whisper gently, sweetly, to the listening, sleepy night. Lake Geneva, the largest of the alpine lakes, lies cradled between Switzerland and France, shaped like a great crescent moon laid upon the earth. Its waters are deep, in places more than 300 meters, dark and patient as the heart of a sleeping forest. Along its shores, vineyards rest in terraces, climbing the slopes like green stairways toward the sky, while soft villages glow at evening with the warm orange light of lanterns and quiet windows. Sailboats drift across its surface in summer, their white sails leaning gently with the breeze, while in winter mists rise from its waters in slow, curling ribbons, mingling with the snow that begins to fall. Beneath its calm surface, ancient fish move slowly through cool currents, and time itself seems to drift, softly, sweetly, in long, dreaming circles beneath the patient gaze of distant alpine peaks. High in the Alps, the air grows pure and thin, so clean it seems to shimmer faintly in the early morning light. Travelers often speak of breathing this air for the first time and feeling, suddenly, deeply awake yet wonderfully calm, as though their lungs had been gently washed in cool spring water. There is a softness to the silence here, quality that does not exist in the valleys below. Sounds carry differently. A distant bell from a village chapel may reach the ear like a whispered secret. The flutter of a bird's wing may seem closer than it is. To breathe such air at evening, beneath a sky filled with countless stars, is to feel oneself becoming lighter, softer, and slowly, gently dissolving into the wide and ancient stillness, like a single snowflake meeting the welcoming silver hush of fresh, deep snow. The famous Matterhorn rises like a great stone pyramid above the village of Zermatt, sharp and pointed against the soft alpine sky. Its four faces look toward the four cardinal directions, as though it had been carved by some thoughtful hand to greet the wind from every side. By day, it gleams gold and rose with the morning sun, while at evening, its peak burns with the last fire of the setting day, lingering long after the valleys have fallen into blue twilight. Climbers call it one of the most beautiful mountains on Earth, a true mountain among mountains, dignified and serene. By night, it stands silent beneath the stars, its silhouette black against the deep velvet sky, watching over the sleeping village below with the patient, ancient kindness of a great-grandfather, gently keeping vigil through the long, peaceful hours. In the alpine meadows, when the snow melts and summer arrives, wildflowers bloom in great soft carpets of color. Edelweiss, blue gentian, alpine rose, and forget-me-not scatter themselves across the high pastures, their petals turning gently toward the warm mountain sun. Bees drift slowly between the blossoms, their soft hum weaving into the air like a quiet song. Imagine walking among them in the long golden afternoons, the scent of grass and wildflower rising around your ankles, the breeze moving through the petals like a sleepy hand. Cows wear soft bells around their necks here, and the distant chime drifts across the slopes, mingling with birdsong and the murmur of streams. It is a place of such gentleness that even time seems to pause, breathing slowly, sweetly, in long sun-warmed sighs, while butterflies float dreamily, softly, between the dreaming blooming flowers. The Edelweiss, perhaps the most famous of alpine flowers, grows high upon the rocky cliffs where few creatures dare to tread. Its small white blossoms are covered in tiny silver hairs, soft as goose down, helping it survive the cold and the relentless mountain sun. Long ago, it was said that to bring an Edelweiss to one's beloved was the greatest gift of love, for the journey to find it was perilous and slow. Imagine such a flower, small and brave, blooming alone among the rocks at 3,000 meters. Its petals turned toward the distant stars. It does not bend in the wind. It does not fade in the cold. It simply rests, quietly, sweetly, in the high places, glowing like a small white star itself, a tender, patient witness to the long, slow, dreaming silence of the peaks. Snow falls in the Alps with a kind of holiness, slow and soft and endless. In the deep winter months, entire villages disappear beneath thick white quilts, their roofs softened, their fences vanishing into the gentle drifts. Imagine standing at a window in such a place, watching the flakes descend from the dark sky, each one tracing its own quiet path downward, weightless as a dream. The world grows hushed, sounds become muffled and dreamlike. Even footsteps in fresh snow sing a small, soft song of their own. The pine trees bow beneath the weight of white, their dark green needles peeking through like sleeping eyes half closed. To watch snowfall in the Alps is to witness silence becoming visible, falling and falling, blanketing the world in a soft, slow lullaby that does not end, but only deepens sweetly into night. The pine forests of the Alps stretch across the lower slopes like great dark green seas, swaying gently in the mountain winds. Among them grow the spruce and fir and larch, ancient trees with deep roots that drink slowly from the melting snow. In autumn, the larches turn a soft, glowing gold, scattering needles across the forest floor like sleepy sunlight. Walk among these trees, and the air becomes rich with the scent of resin and earth, a smell so pure it seems to ease the breath all on its own. Squirrels move quietly in the branches, and the soft drumming of a woodpecker echoes from far away. Beneath your feet, Moss grows thick and emerald green, soft as a sleeping creature. The forest welcomes all who enter, with its slow, patient kindness and its long, gentle, evergreen silence that hums like a quiet, ancient song. The chamois, a graceful wild goat of the Alps, moves across the steepest cliffs with the ease of a dream. Its coat is the soft brown of autumn leaves, and its hooves are made for the rocky paths where few creatures could ever stand. Imagine watching one from a distance, leaping silently between the jagged stones, a small, dark figure against the great white expanse of snow. It pauses, lifts its head, listens. Its breath rises in small clouds into the cold mountain air. Then, with a flick of its tail, it is gone again, vanished into the silver mist, light and weightless as a thought. The chamois has lived in these mountains for thousands of years. A quiet, patient ghost of the high places, moving through the silence with such grace that it seems part of the wind itself, dancing softly. Marmots, those round and gentle creatures, live in burrows beneath the alpine meadows, sleeping for 6 long months of the year. When winter comes, they curl together in family groups deep underground, their small bodies warm and still, their breathing slowed almost to silence. They dream perhaps of summer grass and sunlit stones. Their hearts beat only a few times each minute, and their bodies grow cool, patient, peaceful. Then, when the snow begins to melt and the first crocuses push through the warming earth, they wake, blinking, into the soft spring light. Imagine such a sleep, 6 months long, deep as the roots of the mountains themselves. The marmot teaches us, in its quiet way, the great gift of rest, the slow and patient art of stillness, of folding oneself away into warmth and waiting sweetly for the season to turn. The golden eagle soars above the Alps with wings spread wide, often more than 2 meters across, riding the soft thermals that rise from sun-warmed cliffs. It moves slowly through the high blue silence, its shadow drifting across snowfields and forests far below. Its eyes are sharp enough to see a small movement from a great distance, yet there is no haste in its flight. It glides, calm and patient, the way a leaf might float upon a slow river. To watch a golden eagle from below is to witness pure, weightless grace, a creature wholly at peace with its sky. It nests on remote cliffs, in places untouched by human feet, where the wind sings ancient songs through bare stone. It does not hurry. It does not strive. It simply belongs there, drifting gently, sweetly, above the dreaming mountains. In the deep silence of the high Alps, one may sometimes hear the soft, distant cry of an avalanche, far away, on a slope no human eye can see. It is a hush more than a roar, a slow whisper of snow rearranging itself, settling more deeply into the contours of the mountain. The sound carries strangely in the cold air, soft and dreamlike. Most avalanches happen quietly, in remote places, witnessed only by the wind and the silent watchful stars. They are part of the ancient rhythm of the mountains, the slow breathing of snow upon stone. After such a sigh, the silence returns, deeper still, as though the mountain has settled itself a little more comfortably beneath its blanket of white, and resumed its patient dreaming beneath the great, slow turning of the sky. The Alps hold within their stones the fossils of ancient sea creatures, tiny shells and corals that lived long ago when these mountains lay beneath a warm tropical sea. Imagine the strangeness of it, finding the curled spiral of an ammonite high in a cliff 3,000 meters above the modern ocean. These small stone memories whisper of a world long vanished, a time when fish swam where eagles now soar, when waves moved softly over what would one day become snowy peaks. The mountains carry these memories patiently, holding them within their cold gray stone, neither forgetting nor displaying. They simply remember in the way that mountains remember, slowly, deeply, across millions of years. To find such a fossil is to touch the long, slow dream of the earth itself, and to feel for a moment the breath of forgotten seas. The Alps create their own weather, vast and gentle, lifting moist air from the lowlands until it cools and falls again as rain or snow. This is why one side of the mountains may be cloaked in heavy cloud while the other rests beneath clear blue sky. The mountains are great quiet weavers, spinning storms from invisible threads, gathering mists into white shawls that drape across their shoulders. Imagine standing in a high pass and watching clouds form before your eyes, rising from the warm valley below, blossoming into soft white shapes, then drifting away over the distant peaks. The mountains do not rush this work. They breathe weather in and out as a sleeping creature breathes, slow and patient, creating storms and stillness in turn, weaving the long, soft tapestry of the changing alpine sky. The foehn wind is a famous warm wind of the Alps, descending from the mountains into the valleys with a strange, dreamlike softness. When it blows, the air becomes unusually clear, and distant peaks appear closer than they truly are, as though painted on a near canvas. People in the alpine villages have long spoken of the foehn with quiet wonder, for it brings sudden warmth even in the heart of winter, melting snow and softening the cold edges of the world. Some say it makes one drowsy, dreamlike, as though touched by a gentle spell. To walk beneath the foehn is to feel the mountain breathing warmly upon the land, releasing some long-held breath. It is one of the many quiet mysteries of the Alps, a soft, mountain-born whisper that speaks gently of the seasons turning and the deep rest to come. In the highest alpine lakes, the water is so cold and pure that it appears almost luminous, a color somewhere between turquoise and silver moonlight. This is the gift of glacial melt, slow and ancient, water that has rested for centuries within the deep blue heart of a glacier, only now released into the open air. Imagine bending to such a lake on a still morning, seeing your own face reflected as though in liquid crystal. The cold rises gently from the surface, sharp and sweet. Tiny ripples move outward when a single leaf falls. Around the shore, the soft grasses bend in the breeze, and far above, the mountains hold their ancient watch. To rest beside such water is to feel time itself slow, and to know, in some deep and wordless way, the patient, dreaming heart of the high places. The cowbells of the Alps ring across the meadows in long, soft, irregular chimes, each cow wearing a different note around its neck. From far away, they sound like a slow, gentle music drifting through the valleys, mingling with the breeze and the murmur of streams. Farmers have used these bells for centuries, not only to find their wandering herds, but to bring a kind of quiet song to the high pastures. Each bell is shaped by hand, and each one has its own voice, deep or bright, slow or quick. Imagine lying in a meadow at sunset, hearing the distant chime drift across the green slopes, mingled with the calls of evening birds and the rustle of grass. It is a sound older than memory, a soft, drowsy lullaby sung by the herds themselves to the listening, sleepy mountains. In alpine villages, ancient wooden chalets stand with their roofs low and broad, designed to hold the great weight of winter snow. Their balconies are carved with delicate patterns, flowers and hearts and curling leaves, painted bright against the dark wood. Window boxes overflow with geraniums in summer, spilling pink and red across the soft brown timber. Inside, the rooms are warm with the scent of pine and bread, and woven blankets rest upon the wooden chairs. Imagine arriving at such a chalet at dusk, the smoke rising softly from the chimney, the lamps glowing gold within. To step inside is to step into another, quieter world, where time moves slowly and the heart finds its old rhythm again. These small, sweet houses have stood for generations, patient and warm, like wooden lanterns glowing softly against the snow. The alpine ibex, with its great curving horns, lives upon the steepest cliffs of high mountains, places no other large creature could ever climb. Its hooves grip stone as if by gentle magic, and it moves with calm confidence across slopes that would make any human heart tremble. The males carry horns longer than their own bodies, ridged and ancient-looking, like dark crowns. Once, the ibex was almost lost from these mountains, but slowly, patiently, it has returned, its herds now grazing once more in the high meadows. Imagine seeing one from a distance, silhouetted against the evening sky, standing perfectly still upon a sharp ridge, gazing out across the silent valleys below. It is a vision of pure, quiet majesty, a creature wholly at home in the high, dreaming places, where the wind sings its softest songs. The Alps are home to more than 30,000 species of animals, a vast and wondrous community of creatures both large and small. Among the grasses live tiny mice and shrews, while butterflies of countless colors drift among the wildflowers. Beneath the soil, ants build great cities in soft brown mounds, and in the streams, small trout swim through pools of crystal water. Each creature has its own quiet rhythm, its own slow song. Together, they weave the great living tapestry of the mountains, each thread small but essential, each life part of the long, patient breathing of the high places. Imagine all these gentle beings resting now in the soft alpine night, the marmot in its burrow, the eagle on its cliff, the trout beneath the still water, each one held safely in the warm, slow embrace of the sleeping mountains. The Inn River begins its long journey high in the Swiss Alps, flowing slowly downward through green valleys and ancient villages, eventually reaching the great Danube far to the east. Its waters are clear and cold, gleaming with the soft turquoise of glacial melt. Imagine standing upon a small stone bridge over the Inn in early evening, watching the river slip beneath you, calm and unhurried, carrying its quiet song toward distant seas. Each ripple catches the soft pink light of the setting sun. Otters slip between the reeds, and grey herons stand still as statues along the bank. The river has flowed here for tens of thousands of years, carving its slow path through the mountains, patient as a great breath drawn over centuries. It is the living thread that binds the Alps to the wider world, carrying water, light, and dream. The Rhine, one of Europe's greatest rivers, also begins its long life within the Alps, born from the soft melting of a high Swiss glacier. From these mountain heights it flows slowly outward, gathering small streams along the way, growing wider and deeper as it journeys toward the distant North Sea. Imagine the first trickle of the Rhine, no wider than a child's hand, slipping over smooth pebbles in a quiet alpine meadow. Around it, the grasses sway gently, and the only sound is the soft music of the water beginning its great journey. This small, gentle stream will one day carry ships, water cities, and reach the wide grey sea. Yet here, in its mountain cradle, it is simply a sweet, quiet flow, sleeping its way downward, beginning its long, dreaming song through the listening, ancient, patient land. The dawn over the Alps unfolds with quiet wonder, beginning long before the sun appears. The eastern sky grows soft with pale rose and lavender, while the highest peaks catch the first golden light, glowing as though lit by a hidden inner flame. The villages in the valleys below remain in cool blue shadow, while above them the mountains burn with soft gold, slowly, slowly. This moment is called alpenglow, a brief, magical hour when the peaks seem to be made of light itself. Imagine standing at a high window, watching this slow miracle unfold. The world hushed and waiting. Birds begin to call from the pine forests below. A soft mist rises from the cool meadows. The day is being born, slowly, sweetly, with all the patience of the ancient mountains, who have welcomed countless thousands of such dawns, and will welcome countless more. In the heart of the Alps, the silence at night is a thing of true depth, broken only by the rare cry of an owl, or the soft murmur of a distant stream. Above, the sky fills with stars uncountable, for there are few lights here to dim them. The Milky Way arches across the dark like a great river of pearl. Imagine lying upon a soft blanket in an alpine meadow at midnight, gazing upward as countless stars wheel slowly overhead. A meteor flashes briefly, a tiny silver thread crossing the deep velvet. The cold air smells of grass and pine. The mountains around you stand black and silent against the starlit sky, ancient guardians of this peaceful night. There is nothing to fear here, only the great, quiet wonder of the heavens, and the sleeping, dreaming earth. The Saint Bernard, that gentle giant of the alpine valleys, was bred long ago by monks at the high Great St. Bernard Pass between Italy and Switzerland. These soft-eyed dogs, with their thick fur and patient hearts, became famous for finding travelers lost in the snow. Legends speak of a St. Bernard named Barry, who is said to have saved more than 40 lives during his long years of service. Imagine such a creature, large and warm, moving slowly through deep snow, his breath rising in soft clouds, his great paws gentle upon the frozen ground. He is the soul of mountain kindness, a creature born to guard and comfort. Even now his descendants live in the alpine valleys, soft and slow, eyes deep with old wisdom. They embody the quiet, patient kindness that the mountains themselves seem to teach to all who listen. In alpine cuisine, fondue rises like a small ritual of warmth, melted cheese stirred slowly in a heavy pot above a low flame. Families gather around it in the long winter evenings, dipping bread into the soft golden pool, their laughter quiet, their voices warm. The recipe is ancient, passed down through generations, each village holding its own gentle version. Imagine the scent rising in a candlelit kitchen, garlic and wine and melted cheese mingling with the smell of wood smoke from the hearth. Outside the snow falls steadily, but inside all is warmth and ease. Such meals were born of mountain wisdom, a way to make small ingredients stretch through long winters. They speak of patience, of togetherness, of the slow turning of seasons. Fondue is more than food. It is a small, soft prayer of warmth, shared sweetly in the dreaming dark. The cuckoo clock, that famous alpine invention, comes from the Black Forest just at the edge of the Alps, where craftsmen have shaped wooden timepieces for nearly 400 years. Each clock is carved by hand, decorated with deer and oak leaves and tiny chalets, and inside, a small wooden bird emerges to sing on the hour. Imagine sitting in an old alpine kitchen at evening, hearing the soft tick-tock of such a clock, watching the hands move slowly across the painted face. When the hour strikes, the little door opens, and the cuckoo sings its quiet song. There is no machine in the world quite so charming. It speaks of patience, of slow craft, of the long winter evenings when artisans bent over their work by candlelight. The cuckoo clock is a small, sweet keeper of time in the dreaming mountains. The yodel, that ancient form of singing, was born in the Alps as a way for shepherds to call across the great distances between mountain pastures. Its long, rolling notes can travel for miles, echoing softly against the cliffs and slopes. To hear a true yodel drifting across an alpine valley at evening is to hear the very voice of the mountains themselves, low and sweet and unspeakably old. Imagine standing in a high meadow as the sun begins to set, hearing one shepherd call to another across the distance, the notes rising and falling like a soft, wild song. It is music born of solitude and wide spaces, of long days alone with the herds and the wind. The yodel is not a performance. It is a conversation between the human heart and the listening. Ancient mountains, sweet and slow. The alphorn, that long, curving wooden instrument of the Alps, can stretch more than 3 meters in length, and its deep, soft sound carries gently across the valleys for many kilometers. It was once used by herdsmen to call their cattle home in the evening, its notes drifting through the cool mountain air like a low, kind voice. Imagine watching a herdsman lift his alphorn at sunset, the great wooden curve resting upon a small stand, his cheeks gentle as he breathes life into the instrument. The first low note unrolls slowly, then another and another, climbing softly up through the air, calling the cattle to gather. The cows lift their heads at the familiar sound and begin their slow walk home. The alphorn is the patient voice of the mountains, calling all things gently, sweetly toward warmth and rest. The alpine sunset paints the snow with colors of impossible softness, deep pink and gentle rose, lavender and soft gold. As the sun slips below the western peaks, the eastern mountains catch its last light and glow, briefly, like enormous candles burning low. The valleys fill with a soft blue shadow, while above, the sky deepens through violet into indigo. Imagine standing on a small wooden balcony, wrapped in a thick woolen shawl, watching this slow, silent painting unfold across the sky. Below, the lights of a village begin to glow, one by one, small warm windows lighting against the cooling night. The first star appears, a single silver point above the highest peak. The mountains darken. The world grows quiet. The day has folded itself away, sweetly, gently, leaving only the soft, glowing memory of its passing light upon the high, silent snow. Many alpine villages still ring their church bells at evening, a soft tradition that has continued for centuries. The bells sound low and slow across the valley, calling people home from the fields, marking the end of the day's work. The sound carries far in the still mountain air, mingling with the soft chime of cowbells and the distant murmur of streams. Imagine standing at a window in such a village, hearing the bells begin their gentle song, watching the last light fade behind the dark line of peaks. Smoke rises softly from chimneys. The smell of supper drifts from open doors. Children are called inside. The world settles itself down slowly, sweetly. The bells fall silent at last, and the quiet returns deeper than before, holding the village in its soft, dreaming arms beneath the slowly waking ancient mountain stars. The mountain streams of the Alps are born from the slow melting of snow, gathering themselves into small, bright rivulets that grow into laughing brooks. Their water is cold and clean and sweet, tumbling over polished stones in a soft, endless music. Imagine kneeling beside such a stream on a summer afternoon, cupping the icy water in your hands, watching it slip through your fingers like liquid light. Tiny fish dart in the deeper pools, and dragonflies hover above the surface, their wings catching the sunlight. The water sings as it goes, low and patient and joyful, never hurrying, never ceasing. These streams have flowed here for thousands of years, carving their slow paths through stone, feeding the great rivers below. They are the soft, glittering veins of the mountains, carrying the patient music of melting snow toward the listening sea. The Hallstatt salt mine in the Austrian Alps is one of the oldest in the world, where salt has been gathered for more than 7,000 years. Deep beneath the mountain, ancient tunnels wind through veins of white crystal, glowing softly in the lamplight. The miners of long ago left small wooden tools and pieces of clothing in these dark passages, perfectly preserved by the dry salt air. Imagine walking through such a tunnel, the silence pressing softly upon your ears, the walls glittering like a sky of white stars. The salt itself was once carried out by hand, in wooden carts by men and women whose bones now rest beneath quiet alpine churchyards. Hallstatt itself is a village of dreamlike beauty, its painted houses reflected in a deep, still lake, watched over by mountains that hold their silent, salt-touched memories. The lakes of the Italian Alps, such as Como, Maggiore, and Garda, lie cradled between gentler slopes, their shores warmed by softer southern light. Cypress trees rise like dark green flames along their banks, and old villas painted in cream and ochre look out across the still water. Imagine drifting in a small wooden boat upon Lake Como at dusk, the surface mirror-smooth, the only sound the soft dip of an oar. The mountains rise gently around you, their reflections perfect upon the water. A distant bell rings from a hillside village. Lemon trees scent the warm evening air. The lake holds the deepening sky in its dark mirror, holding stars before they have even appeared above. It is a place where time slows itself almost to stillness, and the heart finds an old, gentle quiet, deeper than any rest. In the Alps, snow can fall in such great quantities that entire trees disappear beneath it, their branches bowing low under the soft weight. After a heavy snowfall, the forests become magical places of white silence, where even the sound of one's own footsteps is hushed and muffled. Imagine walking through such a forest in the late afternoon, the sunlight slanting golden through the snow-laden pines, each branch glittering as though dusted with sugar. The whole world seems to hold its breath. A single chickadee calls from somewhere deep within the trees. A clump of snow falls softly from a high branch, drifting downward in slow, weightless spirals. The forest welcomes you into its quiet keeping, ancient and gentle. Such places are not silent so much as deeply listening, holding all who pass through them in their warm, white embrace. The Italian word for the Alps, le Alpi, comes from an ancient Celtic root, meaning simply the high, long before nations or modern names. The mountains were called by this gentle, true word by the peoples who lived among them. To call something the high is to give it a name without ornament, simple and patient, as the mountains themselves are simple and patient. Imagine the ancient tribes who first looked upon these peaks, who walked their valleys and crossed their passes long before recorded history. They saw the same snow, the same eagles, the same glowing dawns. They called these mountains the high, and were soothed by them as we are soothed today. The name is a quiet thread, connecting all the centuries of human wonder. A soft whispered word passed gently down through countless dreaming generations. In the long alpine evenings, families have gathered for centuries around wooden tables to share simple, warming meals. Polenta steams in heavy pots, hearty stews of root vegetables and small mountain meats are ladled into bowls. Bread is broken slowly, and small glasses of pear brandy are sipped beside the fire. Imagine such a kitchen, lit only by the soft glow of a lamp and the dance of flames in the hearth. Outside, the snow falls steadily, but inside all is warm and slow and kind. The conversation moves gently, the way mountain water moves over stones. The food is simple but deeply nourishing, born of long winters and patient hands. To share such a meal is to step into a rhythm older than memory. A quiet, sweet, communal warmth that has soothed mountain hearts through countless long, white, silver-cold winters. The bearded vulture, also called the lammergeier, soars above the highest alpine peaks, with wings spread nearly 3 meters wide. Its feathers are stained a warm rust color, for it bathes in iron-rich mud, a habit unique among birds. It glides on the high thermals with such patience, such grace, that it seems hardly to move at all, simply hovering on the wind. Once nearly vanished from the Alps, it has been gently returned, and now nests again on remote cliffs where few human feet ever tread. Imagine seeing one from a distance, a great rust and grey shadow drifting silently against the soft blue sky. It does not hunt. It feeds only on what is already cleaning the high places with quiet dignity. It is a creature of vast solitude, dreaming circles above the silent peaks. The alpine meadows in summer are alive with the soft hum of bees, gathering nectar from 1,000 kinds of wildflowers. The honey made from such nectar is famous across Europe, dark and rich and faintly herbal, tasting of the high places where it was gathered. Beekeepers carry their hives up into the mountains in spring, leaving them in sheltered hollows to harvest the brief, glorious bloom. Imagine such a hive set among wildflowers, the bees moving in their slow, patient dance, the air around them golden with sound. The honey gathered here holds the memory of every flower the bees have touched, the gentian and the alpine rose, the thyme and the meadow sage. To taste such honey is to taste the entire summer of the mountains. A slow, sweet, sun-soaked dream pressed into one small, glowing jar. In the Austrian Alps lies the small, perfect village of Hallstatt, its painted houses reflecting upon a deep glacial lake. It has stood here for thousands of years, its life flowing slowly with the seasons. In autumn, the surrounding forests glow with copper and gold, and morning mists rise from the lake in soft, curling shapes. The village is connected to the world by a single narrow road, and to walk its small lanes is to feel as though one has stepped inside an old painting. Imagine arriving at Hallstatt by boat at dawn, the lake glassy and still, the painted houses glowing in the early light, the mountains rising like silent guardians behind. The whole village seemed to breathe slowly, in time with the lake, with the mountains, with the soft, patient turning of countless ancient mornings into evenings into nights again. The Alps are crossed by many ancient passes, some used for thousands of years by travelers, traders, and pilgrims. The Great St. Bernard Pass, the Brenner, the Splugen, the Simplon, each carries within its stones the footsteps of countless dreaming generations. Roman legions, medieval merchants, pilgrims journeying to distant shrines, all crossed these high places, leaving small offerings at wayside shrines. Imagine walking such a pass in the soft light of dawn, the stones beneath your feet smoothed by 10,000 years of slow human passage. A small stone chapel stands at the highest point, its bells silent in the morning calm. The wind carries the whisper of all who came before, woven into the great hush of the mountains. To walk an alpine pass is to walk inside time itself, dreaming slowly, sweetly, beneath the eternal, patient sky. The Alps are crossed each year by countless migrating birds who follow ancient pathways through the high passes on their long journeys between Africa and northern Europe. Cranes and storks, swallows and swifts, all sweep across the mountains in great soft flocks, riding the seasonal winds. Imagine standing in a high valley in autumn, watching a long V-shaped flock of cranes pass slowly overhead, their soft calls drifting downward like a gentle, mournful song. The birds know the way without knowing how they know. They have followed this path for thousands of generations, each one carrying in its small heart the memory of the journey. The mountains watch them pass, ancient and patient, as they have watched for millions of years. The sky belongs briefly to these dreaming travelers, and then the silence returns, deeper still. The Italian side of the Alps in autumn becomes a place of soft amber light, where vineyards on terraced hillsides glow with gold and copper leaves. The grapes are gathered slowly, by hand, in the cool early mornings, and the air becomes scented with crushed fruit and wood smoke. Imagine walking among such vineyards at dusk, the rows of vines stretching in long, peaceful patterns, the distant Alps rising in soft blue above. A village church bell rings gently, calling the gatherers home. Old stone walls warm slowly in the last sunlight. Bees move drowsily among the late flowers. The work is ancient, the rhythm gentle. The wine that comes from this slow labor holds within it the entire patient summer of the mountains. To rest in such a place at evening is to feel the soft, ripe heart of a perfect, dreaming autumn day. The Alps cradle within their stones the source of more than 10 of Europe's greatest rivers, including the Rhine, the Rhone, the Po, and the Danube. From these high mountains, water flows outward in all directions, feeding the lowlands, watering the fields, filling the seas. The Alps are sometimes called the water tower of Europe, for they gather the moisture of clouds and release it slowly back to the world. Imagine all these great rivers, born from a single chain of dreaming peaks, fanning outward across the continent like the branches of a vast silver tree. The mountains do not give their water all at once. They release it slowly, patiently, through the soft melting of snow and ice, the gentle weeping of springs, the quiet seeping of glaciers. They are the great, slow heart of Europe's flowing waters, ancient and giving. The Mer de Glace, or Sea of Ice, is one of the most famous glaciers in the French Alps, flowing slowly down from the peaks above Chamonix. From a distance, it does indeed resemble a great frozen sea, its surface rippling with soft blue waves of ice, paused forever in slow motion. Travelers have visited it for centuries, climbing up through pine forests to gaze upon its quiet vastness. Imagine standing at its edge in the soft morning light, watching the sun slowly warm the ice, hearing the faint, mysterious sounds of crystals shifting deep within. The glacier moves only a few centimeters each day, a slow, patient breath through stone valleys. It speaks of time so deep it can hardly be imagined, of a stillness so complete it becomes almost musical. The Mer de Glace dreams its long, frozen dream beneath the watching ancient sky. The Italian Dolomites, a stunning eastern range of the Alps, rise in dramatic spires of pale pink and golden stone. Unlike the snowy peaks elsewhere, the Dolomites are made of a soft, light-colored rock that glows like rose quartz in the morning and evening light. Their shapes are strange and beautiful, narrow towers and broad walls and curving valleys, as though sculpted by some dreaming hand. Imagine watching the Dolomites at sunset, when the stone burns with soft fire, glowing pink and amber against the deepening sky. The valleys below fill with cool blue shadow, while the peaks remain lit for many long, slow minutes. This phenomenon is so beloved it has a name, enrosadera, the rose coloring, a brief, magical hour when the mountains seem to blush with quiet joy before slipping gently into the soft, sleepy embrace of evening. In the Swiss Alps lies the Lauterbrunnen Valley, a place of such gentle beauty that the poet Goethe is said to have wept upon seeing it. The valley is narrow and green, with steep cliffs rising on either side, and 72 waterfalls cascade down from the heights above. The most famous of these is the Stobak Falls, which plunges 300 meters in a long, soft veil of water, often dispersing into mist before reaching the ground. Imagine standing in the valley on a still summer morning, watching falls drift downward like silver silk, hearing the soft hush of water meeting stone. Wildflowers bloom in the meadows below, and small wooden chalets glow warmly against the green. The whole valley feels like a soft cradle, held safely between mountain walls, dreaming sweetly in the long, slow embrace of the surrounding peaks. The cuckoo, that ancient harbinger of spring, returns to the alpine forests each year after long journeys from Africa. Its soft, two-note call echoes through the trees on the first warm days, a quiet promise that winter has loosened its hold. The cuckoo does not build its own nest, but instead leaves its eggs in the nests of other birds, who then raise the young as their own. There is something dreamlike in this, the small hidden life passed gently from one mother to another. Imagine walking through an alpine forest in early May, hearing the cuckoo call from far away, soft and slow, a sound older than language itself. The trees are just beginning to show their first pale leaves. The streams run high with melt. The cuckoo's song threads through it all, weaving the soft, sweet music of returning spring through the dreaming, waking woods. The brown bear once roamed the Alps in great numbers, though now only a few remain in the wilder corners of the eastern ranges. Slow and gentle, despite their great size, these bears spend the long winters sleeping in caves and hollows, their breathing slowed to a soft whisper. In autumn they wander the forests, eating berries and roots and small fish from the streams. Imagine a bear in the soft golden light of early autumn, moving slowly among the fallen leaves, sniffing at a patch of late raspberries, its great fur shining in the sun. It does not hurry. It carries the calm of the mountains in its very bones. Even now, in remote valleys, these gentle giants continue their slow rhythms, sleeping and waking with the seasons, dreaming their long bear dreams beneath the patient stars of the dark alpine winter. The Swiss village of Zermatt sits at the foot of the great Matterhorn, a place so peaceful that no cars are permitted within its small streets. Travelers arrive by mountain train and continue on foot or by quiet electric carriage. The air is sweet and clean, scented with pine and meadow flowers, and the only sounds are the soft tread of footsteps, the murmur of voices, and the distant chime of cowbells. Imagine arriving in Zermatt at evening, the great triangular peak of the Matterhorn glowing pink in the last light, the wooden chalets along the small streets lit by warm lanterns. There is something deeply soothing in such a place, where the modern hurry of the world has been gently set aside, where one walks slowly because there is no need to walk fast, and where the mountains keep their soft, ancient watch. In the long alpine winters, the days grow short and the nights stretch long and dark. Yet within this darkness lies a special kind of peace, for the world becomes still and turned inward, and the small lights of homes glow more warmly against the cold. People gather more often. Stories are told by firelight. Soft snow falls steadily, accumulating in great, dreamlike drifts. Imagine such an evening, sitting by a window wrapped in soft wool, watching the snow fall in the dim light from a single lamp. Somewhere in the village, a fiddle plays a slow, old melody. The cat sleeps deeply on the woven rug. The bread rises slowly in its warm bowl. Outside, the night deepens, but inside, all is gentle and golden, and the long winter teaches the heart the soft, patient art of being still. The high alpine valleys are sometimes filled in autumn with great rivers of mist that pool between the mountains like soft white seas from above. When one stands upon a peak in the early morning, the valleys disappear beneath these clouds, leaving only the highest summits rising like islands in a silver ocean. This phenomenon is called a sea of clouds, and it is one of the most magical sights of the mountains. Imagine standing on such a peak at dawn, looking out across the white expanse, the rising sun turning the mist to soft gold. The world below is hidden, sleeping beneath its blanket. Only the peaks are awake, glowing in the early light. It is a sight of pure, dreamlike beauty. A glimpse into a world above the world where time itself seems to rest, breathing slowly with the sleeping clouds. The chamois has a strange and lovely habit of climbing very high in winter, to places where the snow is too thin or too windswept to gather, allowing it to find food upon the bare rocks. It moves through these high places with the calm of a creature wholly at home, gathering small frozen leaves and lichens. Its breath rises in soft clouds in the cold air. Its dark eyes are gentle, watchful, knowing. Imagine such a creature on a clear winter morning, standing upon a high snowy ridge, silhouetted against the deep blue sky, the world spread out beneath it in soft white folds. It pauses, lifts its head, then continues its slow, careful path. The chamois is a quiet poem of the high places, a small, dark figure of grace moving softly through the great, dreaming silence of the winter peaks. In summer, the alpine pastures are dotted with small wooden huts where cheese is still made in the old way, by hand over slow fires. The milk comes fresh from the cows that graze the high meadows, and the cheese carries within it the taste of every wild herb and flower the cattle have eaten. Each region has its own special cheese, Gruyere and Emmental, Fontina and Bergkäse, each one shaped by patient hands and slow time. Imagine such a small hut at evening, the smoke rising softly from the chimney, the smell of warm milk and gentle fire drifting on the breeze. Inside, the cheesemaker stirs the great copper pot slowly with the same motions used by his grandfather and great-grandfather before him. It is an ancient craft, sweet and unhurried, a quiet song of patience offered to the mountains. The mountain hare of the Alps wears a thick white coat in winter and a soft brown coat in summer, changing slowly with the seasons. In the deep snow, it becomes nearly invisible, only its small dark eyes and the tips of its ears giving away its presence. It moves quietly through the high places, leaving small soft tracks in the fresh snow. Imagine following such tracks across a snowy meadow in the early morning, the world hushed and luminous, the paw prints leading towards some small hidden world of grass and bark. The hare itself is shy, glimpsed only briefly, a small white shape moving softly between rocks. It is a creature of pure quiet, perfectly suited to the silent kingdom of snow. In its small, patient life, the great winter rhythm of the mountains finds another gentle breathing form. The sound of an alpine stream tumbling over stones is one of the oldest natural lullabies in the world. A soft, endless music that has soothed the hearts of all who pause to listen. Each stream sings its own song, shaped by the size of its stones and the speed of its flow. Some sing in low, drowsy murmurs, others laugh brightly over small waterfalls. Together, the streams of the Alps create a great quiet symphony, woven through every valley and meadow. Imagine sitting beside such a stream on a warm afternoon, your eyes growing heavy, the sound of the water gently easing every thought from your mind. The water has been singing here for thousands of years, and will sing for thousands more. It is the patient, liquid voice of the mountains, soothing all who rest within its soft, watery embrace. In the highest reaches of the Alps grow tiny cushion plants, whose leaves form soft, compact mounds against the wind and cold. These small, brave plants can live for hundreds of years, growing only a millimeter or two each season. They cling to bare rocks at altitudes where almost nothing else can survive, blooming briefly each summer in soft pinks and yellows. Imagine such a cushion plant, no larger than a teacup, perhaps 300 years old, blooming quietly upon a wind-swept ridge at 3,000 meters. It has known countless winters of howling snow, countless summers of brief, brilliant sun. It does not strive. It simply endures, gently, patiently, year after year. There is a deep wisdom in such small, slow living, a soft lesson taught quietly by the smallest dwellers of the highest, dreaming places. The mountain pasks and crocuses of the Alps bloom in spring, often pushing up through the very last snow, their soft purple petals appearing like small flames against the white. They are among the first signs that winter is finally releasing its long hold, and their appearance is celebrated quietly by all who walk the high meadows. Imagine kneeling beside such a flower on a soft April morning, the snow still lingering in patches around it, the petals glowing in the gentle sun. The flower has been waiting beneath the snow all winter, patient as a small sleeping heart, gathering the strength to bloom. Now, slowly, it opens itself to the warming world. It is a small, sweet courage, a reminder that even after the longest winter, the soft return of spring is always gently on its quiet, dreaming way. In the Alps, traditional wooden bridges curve gracefully across mountain streams and gorges, some of them more than 500 years old. Their dark timbers have weathered countless winters, polished smooth by the soft tread of countless footsteps. Many are roofed to protect the wood from snow and rain, creating small sheltered tunnels where one walks briefly out of the weather. Imagine crossing such a bridge in the soft light of late afternoon, the sound of the stream below rising up through the wooden planks, the air inside the bridge cool and resinous. Sunlight slants through the small windows, falling in golden bands across the worn boards. To pause in such a place is to step into a small piece of the past, a quiet, sheltered moment held lovingly within the long, slow, dreaming life of the mountains. The fragrance of the alpine forests in summer is rich and clean, a deep mingling of pine resin, warm earth and wild herbs. The air feels almost edible, sweet and resinous, with each breath bringing a sense of quiet renewal. Walking through such a forest, one is wrapped in this scent, layered with the cool dampness of mossy stones and the faint perfume of distant wildflowers. Imagine pausing on a soft forest path at midday, the sun filtering through the high branches in long golden columns, the smell of pine warm and full around you. A small bird calls from somewhere above. A breeze moves softly through the upper leaves. The forest breathes slowly and patiently, and you breathe with it, your own breath falling into rhythm with the ancient, gentle breath of trees that have stood here for many quiet generations. The wolves of the Alps had vanished for many decades, but in recent years they have begun gently to return. Traveling in small family groups, they move through the remote valleys with quiet patience, their grey coats blending with the stone and snow. They hunt slowly, mostly at twilight, and their soft howls sometimes echo through the high places in the cold winter nights. Imagine standing in such a valley at dusk, hearing the distant call of a wolf, low and rising, soft as a wind. The sound is ancient, woven into the very memory of the mountains themselves. It does not frighten. It speaks of wildness returning, of balance restored, of the deep, quiet life of the mountains finding its old voice again. The wolves dream their patient dreams now in the high places, where they belong, watched gently by the stars. The lynx, that secretive cat of the alpine forests, moves through the trees so quietly that even the most patient watchers may never see one. Its coat is dappled with soft spots, its eyes are calm and amber, and the tufts upon its ears give it a look of dreamy attention. It hunts at night, by the soft light of the moon, gliding between the trees like a silent thought. Imagine such a creature in the deep forest at midnight, pausing upon a moss-covered log, listening to the small sounds of the night. Its breath rises softly in the cold air. Its eyes catch the moonlight briefly, then it moves on, vanishing again into the shadows. The lynx is a small, perfect secret of the mountains, a creature of pure, soft mystery, dreaming its patient cat dreams in the great green silence of the alpine night. The Reichenbach Falls in the Swiss Alps cascade in 7 gentle stages down a steep mountainside, the water falling in long white veils against the dark stone. Made famous by the stories of Sherlock Holmes, the falls have drawn quiet visitors for many years who come to stand at their edge and watch the slow, hypnotic descent of the water. Imagine standing on a small wooden platform near the falls, the mist rising softly to touch your face, the sound of the water deep and steady. Ferns grow in the damp shadows of the rocks, and small wildflowers bloom in the spray. The falls have been falling here for thousands of years, patient and ceaseless, their gentle thunder a soft heartbeat in the surrounding silence. To stand near them is to feel time itself become slow and steady, dreaming downward with the falling water. In the Austrian Alps lies the lovely Lake of Wolfgangsee, a long, sweet body of water held between green, wooded slopes. Its shores are dotted with small, painted villages and old monasteries, and small white boats drift across its surface in the soft summer months. The lake is famous for the clarity of its water, deep and pure, fed by countless small mountain streams. Imagine drifting in a small wooden boat upon Wolfgangsee at midday, the sunlight dancing on the surface, the sound of a distant church bell ringing from a hillside village. The mountains rise gently around you, their dark green slopes reflected upon the still water. Time slows here. The world grows softer. The lake holds the sky in its quiet mirror, and one feels deeply and sweetly the long, patient peace of a place untouched by hurry. The famous Kitzbühel mountain in Austria has long been beloved by quiet walkers, who come not only for its slopes, but for its gentle meadows and pine forests. In summer, the mountain blooms with wildflowers, and small wooden paths wind through the green slopes toward hidden viewpoints. Imagine walking such a path in the soft morning light, the dew still glistening on the grass, the air cool and sweet. A small herd of cows grazes in a nearby meadow, their soft bells chiming gently. The forest gives way to open pasture, and the great, soft view of the surrounding peaks unfolds before you. There is no need to hurry. The path moves slowly upward, the breath comes deeply, the mind grows still. Kitzbühel is more than a mountain. It is a slow, gentle teacher of the soft art of walking peacefully. In the heart of the French Alps lies the Vanoise National Park, a vast wilderness of glaciers, peaks, and high meadows. It was the first national park created in France, set aside to protect the ibex and chamois, and now home to countless wild creatures. The park is laced with quiet hiking paths, and small stone refuges offer shelter to walkers who pause for the night. Imagine such a refuge at evening, its small windows glowing warmly against the deepening dusk, the mountains rising in dark silhouette all around. Inside, walkers share simple meals and quiet conversation, then settle into narrow wooden bunks. Outside, the stars begin to appear, countless and bright. The wind moves softly through the high places, and somewhere far away a marmot whistles. The refuge holds its small, warm light, a tiny lantern in the vast, dreaming dark. The Munch, the Jungfrau, and the Eiger are three of the most famous peaks of the Bernese Alps, standing together like three great siblings against the sky. Their names mean the monk, the maiden, and the ogre, and they have been beloved by walkers and travelers for centuries. Together they form one of the most beautiful skylines in all of Europe, their snowy slopes glowing in the soft morning and evening light. Imagine seeing them together at dawn, the three peaks lit in soft rose and gold, the valleys below still resting in cool blue shadow. The air is sweet and cold. A small bird calls from somewhere in the meadows. The peaks stand patient and ancient, watching the slow turning of countless mornings into evenings, holding their long, quiet vigil over the dreaming, peaceful land below. The alpine villages have long held traditions of singing together in the long winter evenings, gathering in small wooden parlors to share old folk songs. The melodies are slow and gentle, often sung in soft harmony, telling of mountains and meadows, of love and seasons, of journeys and homecomings. Imagine such an evening in a small alpine kitchen, the snow falling softly outside, the wood stove warm and glowing, neighbors gathered around with cups of hot tea. One person begins a quiet melody, and others slowly join in, their voices weaving together like soft threads. The songs have been sung for generations, passed down from mouth to mouth, growing softer and richer with each telling. They are the gentle music of the mountain heart, sweet and slow, a quiet lullaby sung by the people themselves to the listening winter night. The Alps in spring fill with the soft sound of melting snow, water trickling everywhere in countless small streams and rills. The world wakes slowly from its long winter sleep, the grasses pushing up green through the receding white, the first wildflowers blooming in sheltered hollows. The streams grow louder day by day, swelling with melt, their music becoming a soft symphony of awakening. Imagine walking through such a landscape in early May, the air mild and sweet, the sound of running water everywhere around you. Birds return to the forests, their songs threading through the trees. Small calves stand on shaky legs in the meadows, watched gently by their mothers. The mountains seem to breathe more deeply, more warmly as the long sleep ends. Spring in the Alps is a soft, slow miracle, unfolding gently across the dreaming, waking land. In autumn, the larches of the Alps turn a soft, glowing gold, scattering their needles across the forest floors in great, dreamlike showers. The larch is unique among conifers in that it sheds its needles each year, and for a brief, magical week, the high slopes glow with soft yellow flame against the dark green of the firs and the white of the first early snow. Imagine walking among the larches in late October, the sunlight falling through the golden needles, the soft scent of resin and earth rising around you. A single needle drifts slowly down through the still air, then another, like a soft golden rain. The forest seems to glow from within. It is a moment of pure, quiet beauty, a soft farewell to summer, sung gently by the trees themselves to the listening, dreaming, autumn-touched mountains. The alpine cows that summer in the high pastures are brought down each autumn in a quiet, joyful ceremony called the Almabtrieb. The cows are decorated with flowers and ribbons, large bells are hung around their necks, and they are led slowly down the mountain paths back to their winter barns. Villagers welcome them with music and small feasts. Imagine such a procession winding slowly down a mountain track in late September, the cows moving patiently, their bells chiming softly, their heads crowned with garlands of wildflowers and alpine roses. The mountain air is cool and crisp. The valley below glows in the golden afternoon light. The whole village comes out to watch, smiling, waving, welcoming the herds home. It is a gentle ritual of gratitude, a soft, sweet honoring of the cows and the mountains and the slow, turning, dreaming year. The crystal-clear lakes of the Engadine Valley in Switzerland reflect the surrounding peaks with almost perfect clarity, creating a doubled world of stone and water. The high altitude and pure air give these lakes an unusual luminosity, a soft, otherworldly glow that has drawn artists and poets for centuries. Imagine standing at the edge of such a lake on a still morning, the surface glassy and bright, the mountains rising in perfect reflection below. A single leaf falls from a nearby tree, and the ripples spread slowly outward, gently disturbing the mirror. Then the surface stills again, and the reflection returns. The Engadine is a place of such serenity that one feels, even briefly, the soft union of earth and sky, water and stone, all held together in one quiet, dreamlike, perfectly still, eternally peaceful moment of pure mountain hush. In the deep forests of the Alps, the soft white snowdrops bloom in late winter, often pushing up through the very last patches of snow. They are tiny flowers, no more than a hand's breadth tall, with small white bell-shaped blossoms that nod gently in the cool air. Their appearance is one of the earliest signs of returning spring, a soft, sweet promise that the long winter is finally ending. Imagine walking through such a forest in early March, the trees still bare, the air still cold, but here and there, small white snowdrops appearing in soft clusters at the bases of the trees. The world is still mostly grey and brown, but these tiny flowers glow like small stars upon the forest floor. They speak of patience, of quiet courage, of the soft, dreaming return of life to the waking, gentle land. The Silvretta Range in the eastern Alps lies between Switzerland and Austria, a place of glaciers and green valleys and small mountain lakes. It is a quieter, less famous corner of the Alps, beloved by those who seek solitude and slow walking. The valleys are dotted with small wooden chalets and herding huts, and the paths are lined with wildflowers in summer. Imagine walking such a valley in the soft light of a late summer afternoon, the meadows full of gentian and alpine rose, the sound of a distant cowbell drifting on the breeze. The peaks rise gently around you, their snowy summits glowing in the warm light. There is no hurry here. The valley invites slow steps, deep breaths, quiet attention. It is the gentle heart of the Alps, beating softly, where time itself seems to walk hand in hand with the dreaming wind. The alpine night sky, untouched by the lights of cities, reveals stars in numbers difficult to imagine. The Milky Way arches like a river of light, and on clear nights one may see thousands of stars, the great soft glow of distant galaxies, and the slow drift of an occasional satellite or shooting star. Astronomers from around the world come to the Alps for this clarity of sky, this dark velvet canopy untouched by human glow. Imagine lying upon a soft blanket in a high meadow at midnight, the air cool and sweet, the mountains dark silhouettes around you, the sky above spread wide with countless stars. A meteor flashes briefly, the wind moves softly through the grass, the universe stretches above you, vast and ancient and patient, and you feel yourself dissolving softly into the great quiet wonder of the dreaming, starlit night. The Bernina Express train winds slowly through the Swiss Alps, climbing over passes and across viaducts, offering one of the most beautiful train journeys in the world. The line was built more than 100 years ago, an engineering marvel that respects the gentle curve of the mountains. The train moves slowly, allowing passengers to gaze for long, quiet hours upon the passing landscape. Imagine sitting in such a train as it crosses the famous Landwasser Viaduct, a long, graceful curve of stone arches high above a deep valley, the mountains rising on all sides. Below, a river winds through forests of pine and larch. Small villages glow in the distance. The train moves softly, almost dreamily, through the great green vastness. It is a journey to be savored slowly, like a long, sweet song, sung gently to the watching, peaceful mountains. In the deep snow of an alpine winter, the soft tracks of small creatures tell the quiet stories of the night. The dotted line of a hare, the long, smooth slide of an otter, the careful step of a fox, all written in the fresh white blanket. To walk through such snow at dawn is to read a small, beautiful book of nighttime adventures. Imagine such a walk, the air cold and clear, the world hushed beneath its fresh white covering, your boots crunching softly with each step. Here, the track of a marten loops around a tree. There, the soft prints of a deer cross the meadow. The forest is full of these gentle stories, written by quiet creatures who passed through while the world was sleeping. The snow holds them tenderly, a soft white memory of the dreaming, busy night. The little towns at the foot of the Alps, such as Annecy in France or Garmisch in Germany, glow in the long summer evenings with a soft golden light. Cafes spill out into cobbled squares, fountains splash gently in old stone basins, and church spires rise above the rooftops, silhouetted against the soft mountain sky. Imagine sitting at a small table in such a square at dusk, the evening warm, the air carrying the scent of flowers and bread. A small fountain plays nearby, the water catching the last sunlight. Above the rooftops, the mountains glow in soft pink and gold. Bells ring gently from the church tower. The whole town seems to breathe slowly, peacefully, settling itself for the night. There is no hurry. The evening is long. The mountains keep their watch, ancient and quiet, and infinitely kind. In Bavaria, at the foot of the Alps, sits the dreamlike Neuschwanstein Castle, built in the 19th century by a king who loved music and mountains. Its white towers rise like a fairy tale against the green forest, with snowy peaks in the soft distance. Imagine seeing it for the first time at dawn, the morning mist rising from the valley below, the white walls glowing softly in the early light. Swans drift on the small lakes nearby, and the woods are full of soft birdsong. The castle was built as a place of dreams, designed to look like the fortresses of old stories, with painted rooms and graceful balconies. Even now, it sits quietly above its forest, a soft monument to one man's longing for beauty and peace, dreaming patiently beneath the watching, eternal alpine sky. The alpine choughs, small black mountain birds, gather in great soft flocks at the highest peaks, riding the cold winds with playful grace. Their bright yellow beaks and red legs gleam against their dark feathers, and their calls are soft and bell-like, ringing through the thin mountain air. They are among the highest flying birds in the world, comfortable at altitudes where few other creatures venture. Imagine standing on a high summit at midday, watching a flock of chus wheels slowly through the air around you, their wings catching the sunlight, their soft calls drifting on the wind. They land lightly upon the snow, hop a few steps, then take flight again. They are the gentle, playful spirits of the high places, dancing through the sky with a kind of effortless joy that seems to belong to the mountains themselves. The alpine valleys hold many ancient stone churches and small wayside chapels, places of quiet for travelers and villagers alike. Many were built hundreds of years ago, their walls thick and cool, their interiors lit only by small windows and the soft glow of candles. Imagine entering such a chapel on a soft afternoon, the door creaking gently, the air inside cool and still. A small bouquet of wildflowers sits in a clay vase upon the altar. The wooden pews are worn smooth by countless quiet hands. Sunlight slants through a small stained glass window, casting soft colors upon the stone floor. To sit briefly in such a place is to step into a small pocket of pure quiet, where the hurry of the world cannot reach, and where the ancient peace of the mountains seems to breathe softly through the very walls themselves. The town of Chamonix in France lies at the foot of Mont Blanc, a quiet, beautiful place that has welcomed mountain lovers for more than 2 centuries. Its small streets are lined with old wooden chalets and small stone shops, and the great white peak rises behind it like a watchful ancient guardian. Imagine walking through Chamonix at evening, the lights of the small cafes glowing warmly, the air cool and sweet. The Mont Blanc gleams softly in the last light, pink against the deepening sky. Above the town, the lights of small mountain lifts shine like distant stars on the dark slopes. Walkers return from the high paths, their cheeks rosy with cold and joy. The town settles into its quiet evening rhythm, peaceful and unhurried, held lovingly in the soft, eternal embrace of the surrounding sleeping peaks. The Pyramiden Kogel Tower in the Austrian Alps offers a view of 7 lakes and many surrounding peaks, a place of vast, dreamy panorama. From its top on a clear day, one can see for many tens of kilometers in every direction, the small lakes glittering like scattered jewels across the green landscape. Imagine standing at the top of such a tower in the soft late afternoon, the sun beginning its slow descent, the lakes catching the warm light. Small white sailboats drift across the larger waters, forests cover the gentle slopes, the mountains rise softly in the distance, layer upon layer of blue and silver. The whole world feels spread out before you like a great sleeping painting. There is no hurry. The view invites long, slow gazing, and the heart finds, in this wide and quiet beauty, a soft, deep stillness. The Aiguille du Midi, a sharp needle of stone above Chamonix, rises to nearly 4,000 meters. A cable car carries quiet visitors up its sheer face to a viewing platform near its summit, where one can stand surrounded by the great peaks of the French Alps. The air at such heights is thin and pure, and the view stretches to distant Italy and Switzerland on clear days. Imagine stepping out onto the platform in the soft morning light, the mountains spread before you in every direction, the sky impossibly blue above. Mont Blanc rises in soft majesty to one side. The mer de glace flows slowly far below. The world feels very small, very quiet, very peaceful from this great height. It is a place where the human spirit seems to rest, briefly, gently, in the soft, enormous embrace of the dreaming sky. The frozen waterfalls of the Alps in deep winter become great curtains of pale blue ice, sculpted by the slow patience of cold. Where in summer water tumbled in white foam, now stillness reigns. The falls paused in long, dreamy shapes against the dark stone. Climbers sometimes ascend these frozen falls, but most simply stop to gaze in quiet wonder. Imagine coming upon such a frozen waterfall in the soft white silence of January, the great wall of ice glowing faintly blue, the icicles hanging in long, perfect rows. The world around it is hushed beneath fresh snow. Only the faint creak of cold stone breaks the silence. The waterfall has been transformed by winter into something dreamlike and still, a great frozen song held suspended in the cold, patient air, waiting sweetly for the soft return of spring's gentle thaw. In the high alpine meadows, summer evenings stretch long and golden. the sun setting slowly over the western peaks, while the eastern slopes still glow with warm light. The shadows lengthen gently across the grass, and the air begins to cool. Cattle move slowly toward their evening rest, their bells chiming softly. Imagine walking through such a meadow in the long light, the wildflowers nodding around your ankles, the great sky deepening through gold into rose. A small marmot watches from a nearby rock, then slips quietly into its burrow. The first stars begin to appear above the highest peaks. The mountains glow in soft, fading color, holding the last light gently. To walk in an alpine meadow at sunset is to feel oneself dissolving softly into the long, slow rhythm of the dreaming day's ending, sweet and quiet beneath the watching sky. The Hohe Tauern, the highest range of the Austrian Alps, contains the Großglockner, the tallest peak in Austria, rising to 3,798 meters. The mountain's name means simply, the great bell ringer, perhaps for the soft chime of weather that gathers around its summit. A famous high alpine road winds up toward it, offering quiet drivers the chance to climb slowly through changing landscapes, from forests to meadows to snow. Imagine driving such a road in the early morning, the world cool and still, the Großglockner glowing pink in the rising sun. The road curves gently upward through soft mountain pastures. Marmots whistle from the rocks. Far above, a golden eagle drifts slowly through the air. The road climbs and climbs, drawing you gently upward into the great dreaming silence of the high, beloved alpine sky. The traditional alpine handicrafts have been passed down for many generations. Slow and patient arts that fit the long winters when work indoors is needed. Wood carving, lace making, weaving, and the painting of bright furniture are among the gentle crafts that fill the mountain homes with beauty. Imagine a small wooden workshop in the heart of an alpine winter, the snow falling softly outside, a craftsman bent quietly over his bench, carving a small wooden figure of a deer or a chamois. The shavings curl softly from his knife. The light from a single lamp falls gently across his patient hands. Outside, the world is hushed beneath fresh snow. Inside, a small, beautiful object slowly takes shape, made with love and time and the unhurried wisdom of long mountain evenings, soft and slow and infinitely kind. The white-tailed eagle, sometimes called the sea eagle, has begun, gently, to return to certain quieter corners of the Alps in recent years. Its great wings spread wider than 2 meters, and it soars above the larger alpine lakes with quiet majesty. Imagine such a bird drifting slowly above a still lake in the soft morning light, its great shadow passing across the silver water, then disappearing again as it rises into the warmth of the higher air. Below, small fish move quietly in the depths. The trees along the shore stand still and watchful. The eagle does not hurry. It belongs to the sky, to the slow turning of warm air against cool. It is a creature of patient, ancient grace, returning softly to the mountains that knew it long ago, dreaming its great winged dreams above the watching, peaceful waters. The first soft snow of autumn in the Alps often falls gently overnight, surprising the world with its quiet arrival. By morning, the higher peaks are dusted with a soft white powder, while in the valleys, frost lies sparkling upon the meadows. The change is so gentle, so dreamlike, that one might believe it has always been so. Imagine waking in a small alpine chalet on such a morning, opening the wooden shutters to find the mountains touched with white, the world hushed and luminous. The breath rises in small clouds in the cool air. A small bird hops across the frosted lawn, leaving tiny tracks. The wood stove glows warm inside. Coffee steams quietly in a clay cup. The first snow has come softly, gently, sweetly, marking the beginning of winter's long, patient return to the dreaming, ancient land. The alpine cyclamens bloom in autumn, small pink flowers that appear in the forest understory, just as the leaves begin to turn. Their delicate petals lean gently outward, like small open umbrellas, and they fill the cool autumn air with a faint, sweet scent. They are the last flowers of the season, blooming bravely as the world begins to settle toward winter. Imagine walking through such a forest in October, the leaves above turning gold and amber, the light slanting softly through the trees, And there, at the base of an old oak, a small cluster of pink cyclamens nodding gently in the cool breeze. The forest floor is soft with fallen leaves. The air smells of earth and moss. The cyclamens glow quietly in the dim light. A small, sweet farewell from summer, blooming gently into the soft arms of the gathering autumn. The Stelvio Pass in the Italian Alps climbs to over 2,700 meters, winding upward in a long series of 48 gentle hairpin turns. From the top, the view stretches across countless peaks, a vast sea of snow and stone. The pass has been used for centuries, by traders, by travelers, by quiet wanderers seeking the soft beauty of high places. Imagine standing at the top of the pass on a soft summer afternoon, the air thin and sweet, the world spread out beneath you in great folds of mountain. A small wooden sign marks the highest point. A few quiet visitors gather, taking in the view. The wind moves softly across the snow patches that linger even in midsummer. The mountains stretch in every direction, soft blue and silver and white, dreaming patiently beneath the wide, kind, eternally peaceful sky. The great quiet of the alpine night is sometimes broken by the soft hoot of an owl, drifting from a distant pine forest. The tawny owl, the eagle owl, the small pygmy owl, all live in the alpine woods, hunting silently through the moonlit hours. Their voices are low and gentle, woven softly into the deep night. Imagine lying in a small wooden chalet at midnight, the windows open to the cool air, hearing the slow, soft call of an owl from somewhere in the dark forest. The sound is unhurried, repeated at long intervals, a gentle question asked of the night. The mountains around you are silent. The stars wheel slowly overhead. The owl calls again, softer now, drifting farther away. The night listens, the forest listens. And you listen too, sinking softly into the deep, dreaming embrace of the alpine dark. And so, as we draw near the end of our quiet wandering through the great sleeping mountains, the moon climbs slowly above the highest peaks, casting its soft silver light across the snow. The valleys lie hushed in their long blue shadow. The streams whisper their endless songs. The wildflowers close their petals for the night. The marmots curl deeper into their warm burrows, and the eagles fold their wings upon high cliff ledges. The world breathes slowly, deeply, peacefully, held in the soft embrace of the ancient, dreaming Alps. You have traveled gently through their wonders. You have rested in their meadows and breathed their pure air. You have listened to their patient songs. Now, as the night deepens its sweet velvet hush around you, let yourself sink softly into the great, kind silence of the mountains, into the deep, gentle dreaming. And as our gentle journey through the great Alps slowly comes to its quiet rest, there are still a few last soft truths that wish to be whispered into the listening, dreaming dark. The Alps, those ancient and patient mountains, will continue their slow rising long after we have closed our eyes for the night. Each year, they grow a tiny bit taller, perhaps a single millimeter, as the deep plates of the earth continue their quiet, patient press. The mountains are still being born, gently, slowly, beneath the wide and silent sky, growing into themselves across the long, dreaming centuries. In the great glaciers, ice that fell as snow 1,000 years ago is only now beginning its slow journey toward the open valleys below. The mountains hold time within their cold blue hearts, releasing it softly, drop by drop, into the streams that feed the rivers, that feed the seas. Every glass of water drawn from an alpine spring carries within it the memory of ancient storms, of long-vanished winters, of soft snows that fell upon these peaks when our great-great-grandparents were not yet born. The mountains drink the sky and give it back again, slowly, patiently, as a gift to all who live downstream. And in the high places, where almost nothing seems to live, tiny creatures called springtails dance softly in the snow, their small, dark bodies moving across the white surface like quiet flecks of pepper. They are among the smallest dwellers of the Alps, yet they too are part of the great living tapestry, woven gently into the patient breath of the mountains. From the smallest springtail to the greatest golden eagle, From the slowest glacier to the softest wildflower, all are held together in the long, dreaming embrace of the high places. All belong, all rest, in time, beneath the same wide, watching, ancient sky. And so, dear listener, do you? So do you? Held safely within the slow, kind, beautiful rhythm of this peaceful, dreaming, mountain night. And now, as our slow and gentle journey through the dreaming Alps draws softly to its close, allow yourself to remain here, in this warm, quiet place between waking and sleeping, between the world of moving things and the soft, silver world of rest. You have wandered through hidden valleys and beside still mountain lakes. You have listened to the patient songs of glaciers, watched the slow drift of golden eagles above the great white peaks, breathed the sweet, clean air of the highest meadows. You have rested in chalets warmed by quiet firelight, heard the soft chime of cowbells drifting across summer pastures, and stood beneath skies filled with countless, watching stars. The mountains have held you gently through this long, slow evening, as they have held countless dreamers across the centuries. They are old, patient, infinitely kind. They have welcomed the soft footsteps of pilgrims and shepherds, of travelers and quiet wanderers, of all who have come seeking the deep, sweet rest that only the high places can offer. And now, they hold you too, cradled within their ancient, dreaming arms, watching over you as the long night unfolds its velvet hush around you. Let your breathing remain slow and easy. Let your body grow heavy and warm. Let your thoughts drift softly away, like the last whisper of mist dissolving into the soft dawn light. There is nothing more to do tonight. The mountains are still. The lakes are still. The forests are still. And you, dear listener, may now be wonderfully, beautifully still as well. If our quiet journey has brought you comfort, you're warmly invited to softly subscribe to Deep Sleep Science, so that we may meet again on other peaceful nights such as this. No need to act now. Only when the morning returns, gently and slowly, in its own kind time. Until then, rest sweetly within the soft, ancient embrace of the dreaming Alps. Let the snow fall softly upon your sleeping heart. Let the moonlight cradle you in its silver hush. Let the mountains keep their slow, patient watch as you drift into deep, peaceful, beautiful sleep. Good night and sleep deeply.